Hope you guys are having a great week. We've got the one, the only, Madam Savvy. Collective Shout is framing me plus bonus meme. All right, let's check this out.
I'm being framed and vilified by Collective Shout and their ridiculous friends. Not only have I been portrayed as a man by Collective Shout on their website, violating Australian law as they misgender me with intent to vilify, but now their friends are doing it too. And it is getting a bit dangerous. The language is ramping up, and here is a group that claims to be against online hate spreading.
It's crazy how Collective Shout has not just doubled down and tripled down, they've dozened down on trying to pretend that Madam Savvy is a dude because it destroys their narrative of, oh, only the misogynistic male chuds are criticizing us. No woman would do that.
Lies to me. Not only do they not actually prove anyone is lying.
Sorry to pause again, but Venti on the team, based
their big long blog post, but they also claim that I am personally responsible for the hate and violence Collective Shout is getting.
Oh my gosh.
They do this while also censoring me, as if hiding my username and the fact that I'm speaking of Melinda is going to change anything, but they do this to intentionally portray me as a man because the minute that they say a woman is pushing back, they lose their narrative.
Yeah, so we talked about this. This was some article that some anti-hate institute in Australia made, according to my recollection, that was purely just trying to defend Collective Shout. And as you can see in this screenshot, yeah, they not only censored Madam Savvy's profile pic to remove that she is a woman, because her profile pic is her, but also her username, because it says Madam Savvy. Now, there's some plausible deniability here. They might say oh, we just censor everyone's username because it's the right thing to do. We need to censor usernames so people don't get hate. All that tired, boring rhetoric that is patently false anyways, because anyone can search a tweet and find it within seconds. So censoring such information achieves practically nothing at all, effectively nothing at all, really. But yeah, they did do that. So let's continue.
Remember, they're trying to paint men as the antagonizers, but if they attribute an incitement to violence to a woman, people are going to ask questions. Also, please show me where the incitement to violence was, because there is none in that post.
It's criticizing them. That's the incitement to violence. How dare you disagree with us and criticize us?
If anything, you just actually make people want to poke holes in what they're doing. Not only is everything that I said true, because they are Melinda's own words, but you can see it for yourself on the websites. So I'm not really sure what misinformation is being spread by this NGO. I went and read parts of her books, read her own tweets, listened to her. Not once have I misrepresented or misinterpreted her stances. Why is this language important? Well, because they're currently framing themselves as something that they're not. These individuals are not victims, and they're certainly not suffering. But if we take Coralai's screenshot as truth, then they are actively gleeful in taking money from women who are far less fortunate than them, who are dipping into their savings. This is not a good look. This group has an annual report that claims nearly $500,000 in donations were given to them, and they do not have full-time employees. So where is that money going, given all they do is blog post and send emails from the comforts of their AC-filled homes? Why?
I thought they had 2 full-time employees, and then the rest was volunteers, and I think they had when I checked, it was 1 part-time employee or something that they were probably paying the bare minimum. But maybe the accounting information I looked at was old or, different than what Madam Savvy saw.
Do they need poor old Bernadette's cash? And how is that money going to stop me from continuing to post their own words? Either way, this is not something they should be boasting about. Collective Shout wants to portray me as a man and that I am causing any perceived wrongdoings. Well, ladies, keep on doing it. It works out.
Wait, that's a good venti. I need to save that one. I have that one already.
Causing any perceived wrongdoing.
I gotta save that one. That's a good react venti right there. That's one I don't have.
Well, ladies, keep on doing it. It works out better in the end for me when you lie endlessly. And then you get your buddies to try to frame me as a man, because it makes it all the more sweet in the end when people do get to see the truth. If they're willing to lie about me in such a small way, what are they willing to lie about in a much larger way?
Yeah, the whole narrative that they're trying to paint, basically. That's how I take that, at least.
We already know that they lie about qualifications, they lie about adult games being marketed to 12-year-olds. Never once a lick of proof has ever been presented by them. And I certainly wouldn't be shocked if most testimonial they claim to hear is all lies and embellishment. I just can't take them seriously when they need to lie about someone like me. But it doesn't end there. Because I've been both busy with a kitten and sorting through my research that I've been doing for over the past year, they decided to poke the bear once more after a few days, and I'm more than happy to oblige. Coralie chose a very specifically crafted tweet in order to continue to try to link me to violent threats.
Oh my gosh, these people are so obnoxious.
Not only was this account made this month, this year, but it is also a massive contradiction in the way that online trolls function.
Yeah, so let's pause here for a second and establish what's going on, just for anyone who may be confused. So this Collective Shout defender and or person associated with Collective Shout, I forget her exact position, Caitlin Roper. I think she's a higher up there, according to my recollection, though, but that's besides the point. The main point here is she takes a screenshot of this account, Mustang Stangs, who's like some anonymous account on Twitter, who sends them this terrible message. But this came off like another false flag, another op, so to speak, where someone or a group of people are getting backlash online. Then suddenly some newish account pops up and sends something terrible to them. They screenshot it and then use that to play victim. And oftentimes when this happens, it is indeed, as mentioned, like a false flag, like ops. In other words, someone a part of that side, so to speak, makes this fake thing to send to their side so that they can then use this as fuel to try and play victim. You see this happen very often online from people who are getting reasonable criticism for their own actions. They have no actual response of any merit, so they resort to desperate measures like this. And in my opinion, this is what was going on in this situation here with Collective Shout and this Roper individual as well.
Especially the violent threat archetype. You see, the last line is a
The violent threat archetype is crazy phrasing, but that's really funny. Let's continue.
complete giveaway. Not only would my supple-thighed followers know that I am the only woman being labeled a man, making the phrase a redundancy in excess text that conflicts with the fast retard typing of the rest of it before, but it's also the only reply. A one and done, not normal for the violent shit poster. Usually they operate in bursts, not a single tweet on a single account. They also carefully sprinkle in a lot of normal tweets so that way they don't lose the account so fast. The punctuation is also a contradiction to the sentence structure, but the video isn't about dissecting language, it is about Collective Shout's actions. Now, I also gave this advice live, and it seems that, well, Collective Shout took it to heart because now they're honing in on yet another account that says Hail Savvy, that may or may not be them, that may or may not have been made recently.
Oh my gosh, this is so pathetic.
That is somehow possibly maybe posting something that might look a little mean. Unsure, don't care. Point being, they're intentionally choosing individuals or creating posts to reference me. But ladies, I do have some advice once again. If you're going to fake accounts, turn off the location data. I've seen a bit too many brand new accounts trying a little too hard, being a little too close to home for you. Anyway, Collective Shout are the use
AKA they're like made in Australia.
grander conversation relating to Roblox as Melinda sits on the shareholder board for whatever reason of the age verification trials, which will be used to shape the age-gate legislation Australia plans to implement. She's not only part of the grand global wheel that is crushing everyone, but she's doing their work without realizing it. So yes, we will continue to expose them, their beliefs, their connections, but over the coming weeks, I wouldn't be shocked if things ramp up against me and I am mass reported. In the event that I am indeed mass reported and I lose access to my accounts, there are some people who have access to my personal comms, not Discord. I mean real measures for communication and whatnot, and they will help verify any secondary accounts if I create any, if needed. As of right now, I have none. So be sure to double check usernames just in case any scam crap is floating around.
Yeah, we're not at that point yet, obviously. She's like a warning about this, but I'll put her current socials in the description, her Twitter account and her YouTube account.
I hate to have to say this, but I've crossed that threshold on X, so I have to sort of watch out for impersonators, which is very lame. Anyway, less of a fun video, more of a, oh great, we've entered that stage of the cycle. Instead of backing up their claims of misinformation with evidence and corrections, they have only doubled down on stupidity and lies.
No, it's an understatement. They're dozen down. I I can't get over these people.
Sorry, ladies. I can't keep focusing on you forever. I have much bigger fish to fry, but thank you, really, truly, for helping me get everyone against Visa and MasterCard. Without your ignorance and wanting to ban some of the biggest and most beloved games out there, I could have never gotten this many people to care because, to be quite honest, the not safe for work game market is actually very, very small and very niche. But thanks to your ignorance and addiction to power, this has now become a global conversation, and I have actually been afforded the honor of being able to interact with politicians globally because of it. Me, one single little tiny 106-pound woman in her basement with a sun allergy who almost never goes outside. Well, you've got what? You've had to call on British MPs, someone from the UN, other NGOs. You've gotten Australian news media personalities to block me. What has that done for you exactly? NCOS and you, Collective Shout, went from being ignored to having your social media presence now radioactive with your words shoved back at you. And your hypocrisies. Bonus meme!
Wait, I'm like looking at the rolls on this. It's not bad. The crit rate though, freaking the gacha games, man. Sometimes they're so annoying. You get a piece that looks like it could be so good, and then it just like misses the crit rate in so many games. But that's, you know, a different story.
Wow.
I got to report an individual to the UK authorities for the crime of misgendering me.
I was gonna say UK authorities ain't gonna do anything, but for misgendering, they actually might. That's like one thing they might actually try and do something about.
And the only reason why I'm even bringing it up in this video is because they're directly related to Melinda of Collective Shout. I wonder if
Melinda Tankard Reese, Caitlin Roper, and then like Joe Bartosh and Rob Jesse. So that Joe Bartosh person.
the police will cause a little impedance upon her appearance. Who knows? But I do find it funny that all of the worst people in the world just default to calling me a man for the small, small crime of being a woman who disagrees.
What the frick? Madam Savvy's really funny, but I definitely feel like I lost some brain cells dealing with, or like listening to this Collective Shout stuff. Like, these people are so out of touch. Just complete nutcases. Honestly, guys, I've been waking up and just like in disbelief at the stuff I see online these days. And it's nothing new. Like, I should be used to all this stuff by now. It's just sad what the internet has become, really. Just infested with the worst kind of people you could imagine. And, you know, the internet's always had problems, but at least before it felt genuine. Nowadays, it just feels so fake, so dead. There's bots everywhere. There's these weirdo activists trying to ruin everything for everyone. And then there's just like nonsense reposters just trying to get their pennies of blue check revenue. You know, it's a whole, I mean, this is a whole separate topic, I guess. But like, I don't know, man. Then you have mega powerful governments across the world trying to take control of the internet and getting everyone's personal information and all this stuff. You know, it's just a sad state of affairs, but at least this was amusing. I'm glad Madam Savvy is sticking into Collective Shout like this, so props to Madam Savvy. Let me know what you guys think about the stuff that's mentioned. Thank you for tuning in. Consider checking her channel out. Video and all that will be linked in the description as well. And as always, thank you for tuning in. I'll see you in the comments here and in the next one. Oh, and if you enjoyed my coverage, consider liking and subscribing. Appreciate that. It helps out greatly.